Good afternoon, everyone. Like I said on Saturday, it was as good an effort as I've been a part of in college football with our guys laying it on the line and going against the top 10 team, top 12 team in the country, toe to toe, and did some really good things, but came up short. And I just had found out that Joe Jackson was the offensive player of the week in the Big 12, which very deserving, as well as our offensive line. I think was the offensive line of the week of the Big 12, really deserving. So, congrats to those people. Now we've got to be able to pick up and move forward. And we'll see the guys today. I think it's a good week for us. No school, have our guys around us, have our guys around the facility a lot. We won't be able to bang a whole lot with guys because of injuries and the fact that it was as physical a game as it was. So we've got to do a great job of making sure that we get our guys as fresh as we can and get really good game plans to go out for these seniors. That there's a lot of guys that I looked at it from 2019 in TP to a handful of guys in 2020 and 2021. These guys have won a lot of games and meant an awful lot to myself in this program. So we're going to go out and honor those guys and try to find a way to get a win and get bowl eligible.
Coach, what kind of going back to the end of the game, what brought on what happened in post game with you? And I mean, it was a really stressful game, a horrible loss from your standpoint in terms of how it played out. But
I care for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to apologize. I care for our guys, and I'm going to always have their back.
When you went back and looked, this is kind of a silly question, but how exceptional was the way you executed in that run game?
It was next level. Something that hadn't been done to that group at Utah for a long, long time. And the fact that we stayed convicted to it, and even when we got down in the second half after getting a couple of quick scores, we went right back to some of the things and tried to dress them up a different way because you can't run the same play in the same presentation. And I thought Matt did a really good job. The benefit of Matt being in the press box really, really stood out to me, because he was able to have some space and have a clear head to be able to say, here's another way to get to something without all the distractions of a sideline. And our kids just executed. And like I said, post-game, our kids believed in what we were going to do. And it's fun to watch a team that believes in itself, has some success, gains the confidence, and then that once you get confidence, that belief continues to grow.
When you have success with Matt Wells in the press box and a different run scheme, game 11, do you go, dang, I wish I'd go back?
I think it's more how they played us, to be honest with you. They're nothing but a single high team for the most part, and they're going to line up. And you got to realize, Matt was at Utah State when Kyle was at Utah. I mean, there's a lot of history there that and then some past history of us against teams that run this specific defense. Nobody in our league runs what Utah does. Nobody does, and is consistent enough about doing it that way that we knew we were also down some guys, that we had to find some different ways and some different answers, and it was fun to execute that.
By game's end, how thin was the receiver spot?
I think we took 5 on the trip, and it's a weird year in that respect. I think 5 wideouts and 4 running backs, and just not many guys. And where other place we were thin is, and you guys probably saw it, we had to play Quay Moss and Daniel Cobbs at corner and at star because we were down so many corners. So that's the challenge part. And we got screwed up. Give Utah credit. We got screwed up with personnel a few times with them bringing in extra linemen and so forth that, hey, is Daniel playing corner or is he playing star or nickel this play? And but part of that was just we were out of guys.
Is the plan for Matt to stay up top this week then?
I think because it's so cold that he'll want to. I think that he'll make the suggestion to me that he'll want to be up there. But right now we haven't even gotten that far, but that'll be my suggestion. You know, we've been just working on Colorado stuff. We've got some recruiting going on. But for me, I'm going to say, yeah, we're going to keep you upstairs. The other thing that plays into that is Avery, you know, making sure that he's comfortable. And Sean McGuire is a quarterback analyst for us that's been with us for a few years, does a great job and has a great rapport with those guys. And if Ave and the quarterbacks feel as comfortable with Sean down there, which they do, then why not put Matt back up there where he can see it really well?
For you personally, when you go through a season like this, when you do have a bunch of close losses, does that motivate you? Does that set a fire under you to get things right next year?
You know, Kellis, you don't get a chance in the grind to think about that. It's something that at the end of the season, whenever that is, from this week to bowl game, that I'll really probably dive deep into it of the whys of things. But no, I mean it's the raw part of this game. The hard part of this game is it's hard to figure things out like that on the run. We can figure things out of saying, hey, we've got to change our routine and get to a fast Friday and not practice on Thursday. You're looking to do things in that respect to kickstart something. But in the manner of how you lose a game, and guys, we've lost them in ways that I've never seen in college football before. I really haven't, and doing this for 30-some years. So it's something we'll probably dive into a little bit more at the end of the year.
I also wanted to ask with you need one more win to get bowl eligible. You've been to a lot of bowls now. Is that still a motivating factor? Is that something you'll pump up with these guys?
Yeah. Two things on that, and I appreciate the question. One is the seniors. That's the number one thing. We could be 3-8, and I'm glad we're not. But we've got to try to win for these seniors. I've been a part of it and seen it where you don't win your senior day game, and that's a tough locker room. Been a part of it where you win that game, whether it's the last game of the season or not the last game of the season. That lasting effect for those kids to be on the field and come in the locker room of a place that they've spent so much time at with some euphoria of winning a game. That's the number one thing. And then secondly, of making sure that we get an opportunity to spend more time with this football team, with an opportunity to be in postseason, and we're starting to play a lot of young guys, whether that's on special teams. Darren Whitaker had 2 tackles on special teams. Weston Polk had 2 tackles on special teams. Jace Adler, a walk-on kid that came to our program and basically in June is starting on punt team for us as a walk-on. Watching those kids and saying, man, if we can get another 10 practices with those guys, what an opportunity it'll be to kickstart those guys for the next year.
What are you seeing in this Colorado team? Just kind of a weird year for them.
Yeah, it's a weird year for a lot of teams in college football. It really is, and that's unfortunately kind of what you see right now in college football with the landscape of everything with transfer portal and NIL and stuff. I think they're really explosive on offense, and I know they've played a few quarterbacks, and the freshman I think is a really talented kid, and you can tell his comfort level as he's gotten more starts. I think it's collectively as good a group of wide receivers as we're going to play, and I think there's a number of guys that can beat you with explosive plays at wide receiver and a quarterback that can sling it around and feels comfortable there. So offensively, defensively, we're going to have our hands full to try to make sure we don't give up explosive plays, because that's what's hurt us and that's what has kickstarted them. On defense, I know they've been beat up a lot and they've had a lot of injuries, like ourselves. I've got so much respect for Kenny Dillingham in Arizona State, and that was a 10-7 game, and then a 17-14 game, and a 21-17 game in the fourth quarter with Colorado driving. They had a big win over Iowa State at home. They're a good football team when they put things together, and I've seen that. And there's some games out there that maybe it got away from them early on, but they're going to come ready to play, and it's their last game for whatever kids that they have. They're leaving their program, just like it's the last game for us, and so. For us, we've got to have a great game, got to have great game plans, and most importantly, we got to have the guys buy into them.
When you look at how Joe was able to have that game, the offensive line able to have that game, just what worked so well that you guys can maybe replicate this week?
We'll have to see. I'll have to talk to Wellesley as far as what they're doing defensively. Once again, like we mentioned before, Utah's a different defense than everybody plays in the league, so it's probably not the same plan. It's got to be something different. And if it were the same plan, it's probably not going to work because they're going to prepare for all that stuff. So, we need to, if it's not going to be sunny and 70, which I don't think it's going to be on Saturday, we have to find ways to win at the line of scrimmage. But I would tell you, Colorado's saying the same thing. If it's going to be a cold, raw day with a little chance of precip, whoever can win the line of scrimmage is going to have the advantage, and that's something that is going to be important to us, as well as the fact that we got a lot of guys beat up that are going to play O-line and D-line, but we got to make sure they stay fresh.
I'm looking for your A+ quote.
Oh, boy.
Put it all out there. My question is about the senior class and exactly what this senior class means to you in Kansas State football.
Yeah, every year this is a hard week for me, D. Scott. Whether you have postseason football or not, I know that when you have postseason football, it's still the last opportunity they're going to play at home. And so that's an emotional time. And there's a handful of guys we have here that are in their first year that chose us in their last year. And, I appreciate those guys that came into our program and have bought in and made it through the season. And then there's the kids like we talked about that have been here for 7 years, 6 years, 5 years, 4 years. A kid like VJ Payne that in today's day and age, there's a lot of easy opportunities to go someplace else, especially when you have your degree. And I think that's the key to this is when you have your degree, you see a lot of movement. And I understand that. But these kids, a lot of them, most of them, almost all have their degree. Some of them have multiple. TP's probably got a doctorate out of here. Those kids want to stay. And in today's day and age, you don't think about that 5 years ago. It's a fifth-year senior. That's cool. He's made it through, and he's got his degree. Now it's these guys that have opportunities, and it shows you how special that locker room is, how special it is that we've been able to maintain support staff, coaching staff, that they've built relationships with, and it's always an emotional week for me. It's emotional for me in pregame, looking at those guys for the last time at the Hilton Garden Inn. It's emotional for me when they're running out. And it's been like that ever since I've been a head coach. It just means so much to those kids when they've invested the time that they have, and this group's invested an awful lot. And they've won an awful lot of games and won a Big 12 title too.
With the injuries at running back and wide receiver, I know Quay ran a jet sweep on Saturday. Does that maybe open it up for maybe more guys playing both ways if they are able?
Yeah, potentially based on our availability and numbers, and we've got to see who after the next couple of days what our injury report looks like. But Quay we think's got a really really good burst and really good acceleration and speed, and we thought he could give us some life on a play, and he did that. But I don't know if there's a lot of crossover from the other side from the offensive guys coming over to defense, but we'll use anybody we can right now to give us a chance to be successful.
Weird scheduling dynamic this weekend. You got a few assistant coaches who are going to have sons playing for a state title at the same time you're playing. How just hard is that to handle as a coach?
Well, I've been there, and be different if they played them on Friday night. I'd find a way to let them get out to those games, and they're on Saturday. And it was a few years ago that Max Standard played in a state championship game, and Steve was with us. And and so it's really difficult. But the kids know, and I miss some of Devin and Colby's games as well, and I miss a lot of Colby's college games. They know that this is what Dad does for a living, and they know the impact that that Dad has on the locker room and the kids that they coach, and how important that is. But they also know that they're dads, and they're excited for him, rooting for him, and we take a little bit of time on Thursday so that they can have some family time. We're gonna get our stuff done on Thursday morning, and then get coaches and players to be able to get with family so that we can have 8 or 10 hours with family. But great opportunity for those young men to have a chance to win a state championship.
Got signing day coming up, of course, but I think it was about a month ago. Jake Clifton put out there on social media that he's done with his mission. He's ready to get back to college football. Do you intend on him coming back to K-State?
Yeah, I think I can talk about him. He's on our roster, I think. I don't know the rules. Gene, you got to cover me if I can't talk about him. But yes, Jake came to a game here after he finished. I can't remember, maybe it was Texas Tech, and was around the guys, and it was cool to see him. I've talked to him a couple of times. He came to the Oklahoma State game so he could see some of his buddies and stuff. And I think he's letting us process kind of through our season and finish that up. He knows he's welcome back here. I've told him that point blank. We would love to have you back here. I believe he wants to get back into college football. He's told me that. It's my first experience with this, with somebody leaving on a mission and then starting back up, his clock starting back up. I'm not as adept at it as some of the coaches that are seeing it all the time. Yeah. So, but there's been a lot of contact with Jake Clifton, not only from our staff, but most importantly from his former teammates that I know that have talked to him and want him back. I know Romaine got a chance to spend some time with him. I know Des got a chance to spend some time with him. Guys that he knows and has been around. So we'll probably play that out next week and go more full force on what we need to do to try to figure it out. But we'll finish this week and know that he's definitely got a spot on this team.
You got confirmation from our compliance person you can talk about.
Okay, heck of a deal. Well, if I didn't, I did anyway, I guess.
Coach, again, you can't talk officiating, but a lot of the calls fans are upset about are judgment calls. You can't, no one doing that. But the substitution thing, when you were flagged for 12 men on the field, that strikes me as an operational and interpretation. Have you reached out to
I did. I have not heard anything back yet. I reached out, and I'm sure they're busy Sunday and Monday. I have not gotten anything back on that yet, but just an explanation is all I think all of us want.